Think about the last time something genuinely good happened to you. Maybe you got a compliment from someone you respect, or a project went really well, or you had a perfect evening where everything just clicked. Now, think about how long that warm feeling lasted. Now compare that to the last time someone said something mildly critical about you, or you got a passive-aggressive email, or you made a small mistake in front of people. How long did that feeling stick around? The answer is almost certainly longer, way longer. And that is not a personal weakness. That is your brain doing exactly what it was built to do. Here's the neuroscience behind it. Deep inside your brain sits a small, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. It's ancient. It predates language, predates complex thought, predates basically everything that makes you distinctly human. And its entire job is to scan your environment for threats. All day, every day, without stopping. When your amygdala detects something it classifies as a potential danger, it triggers what's called the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline. Heart rate up, muscles tensed, focus narrowed. You're primed to fight, flee, or freeze. This system evolved over roughly 2.5 million years. It kept our ancestors alive. If you heard a rustle in the grass, the people who assumed probably nothing got eaten by lions. The people who assumed definitely a predator survived long enough to have children. You are descended from the catastrophizers. Catastrophizing is your inheritance. Here's where the mismatch happens, and this is the part most people never connect. Your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a lion in the grass and a bad performance review. It cannot distinguish between predator closing in and weird vibe from your partner this morning. It processes all perceived threats through the same ancient machinery, and it does so faster than your conscious mind can intervene. We're talking about 12 milliseconds, which is literally twice as fast as you can blink. By the time your rational brain, your prefrontal cortex, shows up to say, "Hey, wait, let's think about this calmly," your emotional response has already launched. The cortisol is already in your bloodstream. The catastrophic story is already being written. Neuroscientist Rick Hanson describes this beautifully. He says the brain is like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. Bad stuff sticks, good stuff slides off. And the research backs him up hard. Studies by psychologist Roy Baumeister found that negative events require 5 times the positive input to counterbalance them in our minds. 5 to 1. That means a single criticism at work requires 5 genuine compliments before your brain feels neutral again. Not even good, just neutral. One bad interaction at breakfast can color an entire day. One health scare can dominate weeks of otherwise unremarkable good health. And in 2024, this wiring is running inside people who check their phones 96 times a day. That's the actual average according to research from Asurian. Every scroll, every notification, every headline is a potential amygdala trigger. We've taken ancient hardware and plugged it into an information fire hose. The result is a low-grade chronic threat response that never fully switches off. Now let's get specific, because I want you to recognize this in your own life. Catastrophizing, technically defined, is a cognitive distortion where the mind automatically jumps to the worst possible outcome and treats it as the most likely outcome. It shows up in 3 main patterns that psychologists have identified. First, there's magnification, taking something small and inflating its significance. Your boss didn't smile at you in the hallway. Suddenly, you're constructing a narrative about being fired. Second, there's rumination, replaying negative events or imagined future disasters on mental loop. You said something awkward at a party 3 years ago, and your brain still screens it at 2 a.m. like it's running its own film festival of your worst moments. Third, there's catastrophic forecasting, projecting a minor problem into a cascading disaster. Your car makes a new noise. Within 60 seconds, you've mentally totaled the car, maxed out your credit card on repairs, and concluded you'll never be financially stable. Sound familiar? Because these patterns are genuinely universal. A 2019 study published in the journal Behavior Research and Therapy found that approximately 57% of people engage in regular catastrophic thinking, with the highest rates occurring around health, finances, and relationships. The three domains, interestingly, that matter most to human survival. Your brain isn't catastrophizing randomly. It's catastrophizing about exactly the things it's been programmed to protect. Chronic catastrophizing doesn't just feel bad in the moment. It has measurable, documented downstream effects on your health that most people are completely unaware of. When your threat response system fires repeatedly without resolution, meaning no lion actually shows up and no actual danger passes, your cortisol levels stay chronically elevated. And prolonged cortisol elevation is a serious problem. It suppresses immune function. It disrupts sleep architecture, specifically REM sleep, which is the stage where your brain processes emotional memory. It increases inflammation, which is now understood to be a root driver of conditions ranging from cardiovascular disease to depression. A meta-analysis published in Psychological Bulletin found that catastrophizing is one of the strongest psychological predictors of chronic pain. People who catastrophize report significantly higher pain intensity than those who don't, even with identical physical conditions. Your thoughts are literally changing how your body processes sensory input. Relationships take a hit too. When your threat detection system is chronically overactive, you start reading neutral social cues as hostile. Someone's neutral tone becomes passive-aggressive. A delayed text message becomes rejection. You start having arguments with people in your head before you've had a chance to have a real conversation with them. And over time, that erodes trust and connection in ways that are hard to trace back to their actual source. The good news, genuinely good news, is that your brain is not fixed. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself through repeated experience, means you can actually train your threat response system to be less reactive. Not instantly, not easily, but demonstrably. Here are the approaches with the strongest research support. The first is cognitive diffusion, which comes from acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT. Most of us are fused to our thoughts. When a catastrophic thought appears, we treat it as fact. Diffusion is the practice of creating distance. Instead of thinking, "I'm going to fail this," you practice noticing, "My brain is offering the thought that I'm going to fail this." You're not suppressing the thought. You're just changing your relationship to it. Research from the Association for Contextual Behavioral Science shows that diffusion techniques reduce the emotional impact of negative thoughts even without changing the thought itself. You're stepping back from the screen instead of trying to edit the movie. Second is the best, worst, most likely exercise, developed from cognitive behavioral therapy frameworks. When you catch yourself catastrophizing, you deliberately walk through three scenarios. What's the absolute worst outcome? What's the best outcome? And what's the most realistic, statistically probable outcome? This isn't toxic positivity. You're not skipping the worst case, you're contextualizing it. Most of the time, the realistic outcome lands somewhere in the middle range that your amygdala never even considered. You're manually engaging the prefrontal cortex to audit the amygdala's threat assessment. Third is physiological regulation before cognitive reappraisal. This is critical, and a lot of people get the order wrong. You cannot think your way out of a stress response that's already biologically activated. The cortisol is already in your blood. You need to downregulate the nervous system first. The most well-researched method here is extended exhale breathing, specifically breathing in for 4 counts, out for 6 to 8 counts. Research from Stanford neuroscientist Andrew Huberman's lab confirms that longer exhales activate the parasympathetic nervous system faster than almost any other conscious intervention. You're literally using your breath to signal to your brainstem that the threat has passed. Then, once you're physiologically calmer, the cognitive tools actually work. Fourth is what researchers call temporal distancing. Ask yourself, will this matter in 10 minutes? 10 weeks? 10 years? This isn't dismissive. It's neurologically useful because future projection activates the prefrontal cortex, which acts as a counterweight to amygdala reactivity. Studies by Ethan Cross at the University of Michigan show that even brief temporal distancing exercises measurably reduce emotional intensity within minutes. Short-term techniques matter, but the deeper game is building what psychologists call affect regulation, your baseline capacity to tolerate and process emotional intensity without being overwhelmed by it. 3 things consistently show up in the research as the highest leverage long-term practices. Sleep. This is non-negotiable in the neuroscience. Matthew Walker's research at UC Berkeley shows that sleep deprivation increases amygdala reactivity by up to 60%. 60%! When you're chronically underslept, you are physiologically more catastrophe-prone. Protecting your sleep is one of the most direct interventions you can make on your own negativity bias. Social connection. The longest-running study on human happiness, the Harvard Study of Adult Development, which tracked participants for over 80 years, found that the quality of close relationships is the single strongest predictor of well-being and psychological resilience. Connected people have more accurate threat assessments. Isolated people catastrophize more. Your nervous system is actually designed to co-regulate with other people. We are not solo organisms trying to manage stress alone. We're social animals who calm each other down. And finally, controlled exposure to discomfort. This sounds counterintuitive, but deliberately doing things that are mildly difficult, cold showers, hard workouts, saying the hard thing in a conversation, gradually teaches your amygdala that discomfort doesn't equal catastrophe. You're building evidence against the narrative that anything uncomfortable is dangerous. Over time, that changes the baseline reactivity of your threat system in measurable ways. Your brain catastrophizes because it loves you and it wants you to survive. That's actually the most accurate way to frame it. Not as a malfunction, but as an overprotective system that hasn't gotten the update that the modern world is fundamentally different from the one it was built for. Once you understand what's happening under the hood, you stop fighting yourself and you start working with your neuroscience instead of being controlled by it. I'd genuinely love to know which of these patterns showed up most in your own life. The magnification, the rumination, the catastrophic forecasting. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and sometimes those comments are what shapes the next video. Thanks for watching this one. It genuinely means a lot that you spend your time here. If this was useful to you, hit the like button. It helps more people find the video, which is the whole point. And subscribe if you haven't already, because I put out new content regularly, and I'd hate for you to miss what's coming next. Until next time, take care of your brain. It's the only one you've got.